Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to The Walking Dead, the final season. So, we are preparing for an assault from the Raiders, which is probably going to trigger almost instantaneously, and it might actually end the entire episode. I wouldn't be surprised since this is the second episode, which would have been the last one that Telltale would have worked on, if it is just incredibly short and does just kind of abruptly end. There's only a slight danger here in that it's taken 2 weeks for the Raiders to decide to attack. That either they are building up a very strong force, like an overwhelming militaristic force, but if they were going to show that kind of power, then why would the Raiders in Abel and Lily even try and kidnap AJ and Clementine instead of having much larger groups show up? The only other thought is maybe they're trying to drive a horde of zombies, which at this point, like 9 years into the zombie apocalypse, it seems like hordes of zombies still exist and are roaming the land, and nobody seems to have been able to figure out ways to make entire fields like minefields or something like that. Mines would probably be the best weapon against the zombie apocalypse, as if you could just go and mine every single pathway that isn't then marked by like human. You could easily just spray paint arrows and say walk this way, mines, onto roads, and then place mines everywhere there isn't an arrow. And then you could secure large swaths of lands, or at least drive large hordes of zombies towards the outskirts of cities, because they'd hear the explosion of mines, and that would create a cycle. But yeah, if the Raiders in this story aren't trying to drive a horde of zombies towards us, and it's taken them 2 weeks to do that, or they aren't licking their wounds and trying to fight, and it just keeps going on and on and on, at a certain point, the kids in this group are going to, we can unpause this, at a certain point, these kids are going to just think Clementine made this all up, and I don't know, shot AJ herself, which they can't 100% be certain of that, but they could certainly lose faith in Clementine and AJ and kick them right back out. Either that happens, or we find out James, the Whisperer, has taken out the Raiders, and now there's a whole different group that's going to show up. This is funny, on Clementine's hair, she has like one side braided, but not the other. That I think was supposed to probably be in the middle there. I don't know why you wouldn't cut your hair if one piece of a twin ponytail, or whatever you want to call that, is missing. Yeah, that looks really weird. Of course, I imagine they don't care much about it. I wonder where Clementine got this jacket too. I mean, it's a rather cool jacket for me to not really recognize where it came from. There is also something I certainly thought about as far as the idea of her driving a car, because the way the zombie apocalypse started about 10 years ago, like, that's my rough estimate on how old she was when the zombie apocalypse happened versus now. I'm saying she's 19. We did even have a section where somebody did talk to her about puberty and all of that, although that seems to have been kind of skipped over, thank goodness. Although at a certain point she's going to have to have some kind of conversation with AJ about that, or maybe she already has. AJ's such a blank slate, you never know. But the fact that they were driving a car, and I know I'm bouncing around here and being very ADD, was weird, because when the zombie apocalypse started, people ran out of the cars and they crashed their cars, so none of the roads were clear. It's ridiculous to believe that the roads would have been more clear over the years that there was some groups of people clearing routes. If anything, there'd be groups of raiders and scavengers putting more cars on the road to block past, so you don't have one raiding party like bring potential tanks even up the road. So the whole way the story starts doesn't make a lot of sense unless you are believing that maybe they had that one car going on a very back road, which maybe that's the case. Maybe this was... It's hard to believe that even a back road would be completely deserted. Yeah, but none of that really has nothing to do with this. Let's just move the story forward.
You know, a total fucking mess.
They're trying.
Well, honestly, it's not perfect, but they're trying. They're doing everything they can.
Trying isn't gonna stop them from getting kidnapped. Trying isn't going to stop these raiders from burning down our fucking home. Jesus, Clem. They stopped giving out participation trophies when walkers started eating people.
I wish more people realized
You're
that.
boring and your idea's stupid.
Oh, I'm being stupid? You're the
And
one
here we
who
have
can't
a
think
scene
straight.
and
If you could
is
hear
this
yourself,
Mitch?
Guys, what the fuck?
Is
Violet told us to work on the traps together, but a sim won't listen to anything I say.
That doesn't mean you have to scream at each other.
stay out of this. I have an idea for duffel bags filled with bricks. We drop them on the raiders if they get to the admin building. Willie here wants to use a giant, idiotic swinging log to take out one raider at most. It's completely stupid.
You're stupid.
You're being childish.
I am not. I'm trying to help.
So help and stop arguing.
I'm not
We're
gonna get
going with
between
Sim's
this.
plan,
What?
but nothing. It's more practical.
Mine's practical too.
No, it isn't. It's exactly the kind of thing a child would think of, especially a child who has no idea what he's up against.
What the shit?
It's no surprise.
Okay?
Yeah, fine. Shit.
I'm surprised more of this doesn't
We'll all
happen.
kill each other before the raiders even get a fucking chance.
All right, what we need is something to break the tension. Hey, buddy, how's it hanging?
Dude, fuck off.
Sulking in the corner isn't gonna help us fight off the raiders. Or turn that frown upside down.
You get more annoying every day.
Regardless, I've come up with a plan to make everybody feel better.
Yeah,
And
talking
that
to somebody
plan
after
is
they've
a
been
game.
punched.
Come on, we gotta play.
Okay, I'm coming.
So
Well, we haven't played a game in weeks.
here,
since
Lewis
that night with Marlon.
is gonna
if you wanna go
distract
ask
everybody.
Ruby to come play, I don't mind waiting.
Shut up, dude. I swear to God.
You've got a crush on Ruby? What are we playing?
Truth or dare?
No
You
way.
use cards in Truth or Dare.
You do in this version. Everyone draws. Highest card gets to ask.
Alright,
Lowest card
this
has to
is
answer.
really, really dumb. There's nobody patrolling.
This should be good. Let's see. Truth. Marry, fuck, kill.
Bye.
This
Fine. Marry, flip, kill. Ruby, a sim, or James, that guy who saved you. Oh my god.
You gotta answer. Them's the rules.
so
Let's see. I would marry...
this is so stupid. Alright, so this feels so childish and so dumb, and it definitely just comes off as, oh yeah, this episode is definitely written by somebody different than who was writing the previous episode. Okay, so Ruby's not in the room. James isn't in the room. If we're manipulating people for survival, a sim is practical and somewhat intelligent. So, whereas if I was going to marry James, he would probably be an emotional wreck. Maybe it's heteronormative to immediately ignore Ruby. I'm not even 100% sure I know which one's Ruby. I think it's the red-haired lady. But yeah, we'll just go with a sim since he's in the room, because that's the best manipulation and whatever.
A sim.
I
Thanks.
I don't think you're his type. He's into redheads.
Dude, shut up.
I would, flip.
Flip, 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 flip.
Flip, flip, flip.
Okay. So, oh, now we have a limited thing on how it works. I guess I'm not familiar enough with Marry, Flip, Kill, because I thought maybe I was going to get 3 different options. I don't know why I thought that, really. I guess I just wasn't... I was so blown away by how stupid this is. Well, then the manipulation becomes easier, certainly. You sleep with Ruby because she's part of the group. And then you say you'll kill James because he's not part of the group and he's not listening. Or even if he is listening, who cares?
Ruby.
What? Sorry. I was just imagining her glare while Clem propositions her. What? You sure that's a good idea? What's wrong with you?
She picked. Ruby gets a flip.
So that means you're killing...
This is amazing.
Boy from the woods!
I'll try to shed a tear for the poor boy none of us met, who's probably just a figment of Clem's imagination.
No, he's not. I met him.
Well, now he's dead. Poor dude. This is great. We're laughing, we're bonding. It's a nice break from thinking about homicidal assholes sneaking into our homes to kidnap us.
Not if you bring it up.
On to round 2.
So now I draw a card, and I guess now I get to question
I win.
somebody.
And poor Sim loses.
Definitely a dare.
Okay. Do your worst.
So, I guess this is an interesting thought of socioeconomic, not socioeconomic, but just social development. I'm so used to using the phrase socioeconomic. It gets to the core is, can a game like Truth or Dare be somehow good for young kids to do things and get out of their normal pattern behaviors and ask Ruby for a kiss? Or should this just be a case where we are really just having fun, or is Truth or Dare just bad? I think most parents would probably say Truth or Dare is pretty bad, and it never really works that well. I think there's a bigger case also that when teenagers are playing Truth or Dare or Spin the Bottle, that they're ready and willing to kiss and probably do more if they can the whole time. So this isn't so forceful. Of course, the theme may not like it if you dare. So maybe you should go with the walker's head. Although, once again, this is just a scenario where they're trying to make you agonize on a decision. It doesn't matter. Seam is probably dead. Ruby's probably dead by the end of this episode, if not by the end of the entire season. In a weird way, it almost is through this Truth or Dare game, it's developing Clementine as wanting to be in a throuple, a three-way relationship between a Sim and Ruby and Clementine, which maybe that's logical in a weird way, because if Clementine dies at the end of the season, then a Sim and Ruby being together and growing up and becoming like a couple might make a decent pair of parents for AJ, whereas Violet and Louis, I keep saying Lewis, maybe not so much. I don't see Tennessee really pairing off with anybody. I don't see Mitch likely pairing off with anybody. Mitch is probably dead. So let's just go with B.
You have to ask Ruby for a kiss.
Seriously?
The most legitimate of dares. Oh, I can't breathe.
The relationship with the theme has changed.
Well, I think we all learned something about our good friend Asim today. Mainly that he has no romantic charm whatsoever.
Shut up.
Look sharp, y'all. It's time for round 3.
This is weird also in the fact that either Lewis is cheating at cards a lot here, which I think he might be
We've been
doing.
pretty hard on poor Asim here, teasing him about sweet Ruby. Seems only fair we mercilessly tease someone else about unrequited love. So, Clem. Anyone here you like?
Seriously? Like? What are you, 6?
7, thank you.
I'm just gonna say
Well,
silent.
I guess that's my answer. Clem has feelings for no one and nothing.
Like, do I really like anybody? Not really.
Asim, you've got the high card, and the loser is Tennessee.
What's something you've never told anyone because you were afraid they'd make fun of you?
You got this.
This was a weird way to write this.
I think walkers won't always be around. They'll go away someday. Cause
They wanted to give him a whole speech.
Right? Ice Age, Stone Age, some other ages.
Interesting,
So
a
it's like
zombie age.
This age will end, and another one will start.
An age without walkers, like it used to be.
It'll be better. Why is everyone looking at me like that? Did I ruin the game?
That's really beautiful. I never thought of it that way.
Tennessee will remember that.
What's wrong, AJ?
I just don't know what it's like. All of you do, but I don't. I don't remember a time before monsters.
You know what, little dude? It's okay that you don't. Believe me, the world before this one was pretty shitty. And that feels like a good place to call it.
We should finish up our work anyway. It's getting dark.
Seems almost like
Wanna
they
look out?
specifically
Yep. Clementine's got it after me.
Can I come?
didn't want to give Lewis or the leader girl, I've forgotten her name now. I want to say Vincent, but Violet. Must be Violet.
Hey.
You maybe want to help me with the brick trap?
Yeah, I got some ideas.
Cool. I'm sure they'll help.
Sorry I punched you.
It's okay. It's a pretty good punch.
I'm headed to the bell tower. I want to check out our defenses on the back wall before bed.
Do you need help?
Sure, if you want.
You could always help me instead. I am on piano duty. What? I gotta get in some practice before one of you decides to chop it into firewood. I've got a project I want to try, but I need a second person.
Well, let's see. Do we follow Violet, or do we follow Lewis? I mean, survival. Obviously, you follow Violet. I wonder what would have happened if you just stood there long enough. They probably would have stopped and paused the video. I've seen that maybe in one other Telltale game where if you have to make a decision, but they try to do it in a slightly different way. They are desperately trying here to have it be a scenario where they give you the same two options, but depict it multiple different ways, so it feels like it's a different game. Video game wise, also, it makes a lot of sense to go to the bell tower.
So, we're checking the
Because-
walls?
Yep. From up there. That's the best view.
Because this is a new scene, and you would hate to not
You ready
see
for a
this
climb?
scene. Or the piano room we've already been in.
Looks a little dangerous.
What's more dangerous than walkers? Or that death trap you called a car?
Okay, fair.
Come on, you're not chicken, right?
So I'm just pressing forward. And it's
chicken
scripted,
nuggets.
so basically all you do is press forward and it moves an
really.
animation
I do.
forward.
We always got them on Sundays. There's no time for
So you
Grandma
don't
to
want to
cook
actually
between
move
church and Bible study,
that
so
fast, otherwise
fast
you're
food.
not going to hear all this said.
I'd give an eyeball for a chicken nugget right now.
Really?
Kind of. Yeah.
This isn't helping me focus.
This is a funny situation specifically because, yeah, I am looking potentially to pair off the characters, but there really aren't enough people in any group I've seen in the games that could repopulate the human race. There'd just be so much inbreeding after a second or third generation. You'd have to establish a whole, like, working pact between multiple raiding communities where sons and daughters had mixers together and intermingled. I guess there wasn't more dialogue. I mentioned in the previous recording the idea of the game calling you out for your decisions, but then I remember now that that's exactly what happened at the beginning of... at the end of the first season, is there was a character that literally had been spying on you. Maybe that wasn't the first season, that may have been the second season. It's funny, nobody's asked her about her finger being missing. That would have been an easy line of dialogue to use. And since you have a situation here where you couldn't ever really repopulate it, the idea of gay couples
Barbed wire, traps,
doesn't
weapons.
really
It's
matter
everything we planned.
one
We
way
made
or
it
the
happen.
other.
We couldn't have
Although
done
I
it
could
without you.
certainly see a authoritarian power coming into control and
You've got lookout
forcing
duty
everybody
tonight, right?
to be
me
in
and AJ.
heterosexual couples to have more babies.
Do you have time to hang out first?
But yeah,
Sure.
on the other hand, you could create a society where gay couples raise children and straight couples just procreate, and outlawing straight marriages would actually be more effective.
Beautiful. Sometimes I need the quiet, just to get away for a while. Clem,
Yeah?
I know you came back for medicine, for AJ, but after that, you could have just left.
It wouldn't be
Avoided
funny
all
if
the
she fell
bullshit with
over
the
or
raiders.
died or jumped.
Why didn't you?
Hmm.
Sorry, I know that puts you on the spot. You don't have to answer. We've all
Let's
got our
see.
reasons.
Alright,
Why
I
would
guess I'm
go
gonna...
anywhere else if you're here.
I'm glad.
So,
Do you know any constellations?
basically, I can flirt and imply I'm in
someone's
love
school,
with
but
Violet.
Can't remember.
Or I
them.
could have gone with Lewis and implied
Let's
that
make
I was
some
in
up.
love with him.
Come over here. You
But
can sit down at that phone
from
with your dad.
my psychopathic choices here, I'm just
If I
manipulating
remember
either
right,
one of them
everyone's born under a special
and
sign,
going with Violet
right?
since she's
It
in
determines
charge.
Your personality.
That's astrology, not
This is really
astronomy.
just Clementine
Whatever,
through
let's
my
just make up
control
our own.
sleeping
Rules,
sleeping their way
signs,
to the
what
top.
it says about you. It's not like anyone remembers the old way. Okay, let's do it.
Kind of heavy on the
There.
background sound
See?
effects.
It's a fish.
Aim and draw with a connector too. Wow. So you have kind of a nice skybox for a Telltale game. They aren't particularly known for doing that. So is there a way you could draw a fish? There's two ways you could draw it: facing the left, or you could draw it facing the right. Well, can you draw it facing the right? Yeah, but I don't think they intend for you to do it that way. I think they intend for you to draw each part like that. Man, you basically are 10 years into these Telltale games, though, and they did not learn anything, because they had, as far as programming and making games, that they had to obviously just rush
Now it needs a personality.
so fast to
Right,
pour out
pretty,
more and more
good with other
Telltale games
people,
that
always moving tons of energy.
nobody ever
Sounds like
learned
anyone you know.
anything new or experimented with anything
The energy
new.
one is easy. Good with people, not so much.
That's AJ.
That's AJ. Wherever I look, there he is, taking up all my attention. And I love him for it.
He's getting better around other people. You're doing good with him. Next up.
I spy with my eye a knife. See it? Right there. Right above your head.
Yeah, they're all above my head.
Yep. It really, really sucks. I have to say that this sequence is the culmination of the Telltale games as a company. Knife. What kind of knife could I draw here? I mean, I feel like I can draw... Well, how many of these can I lock into? Oh, apparently there's only specific ones you can lock into, so... Oh, this thing, it goes really, really far. Quite the stretch to make a knife. And I feel like some of those stars would have
This one's
overlapped
easy.
with the fish.
Smart, clean, vicious, dependable. Someone you want with you in a fight. Doesn't take crap from anyone. Gets shit done.
Well, then I guess the option is you.
Sounds just like you.
I like that one. Yeah.
So we make her the knife.
Okay. One more time. I found a bird.
Like a real bird?
No, a starbird. Right there.
Interesting. So I feel like you could easily have answered this the same way with any character, and they would have just written dialogue, and it really wouldn't have been that much of a repetition or that much extra writing, honestly, to have that play that way. Undoubtedly there is a level of writing you will just never see if you only play this game one way, but I kind of don't care.
A bird is free. It could go anywhere it wanted to. Up and up and up and never come back. Go south, east, west, doesn't matter. You could fly straight into a sunset and see where it ends.
Let's just stay silent here.
Maybe we don't know anybody like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to just talk so much. It's just I've watched people leave before. Family, friends. They never come back. But you did. And now I can't imagine what it would be like if you weren't here. Shit. That sounds so much dumber when I say
Okay,
it out
well, let's play with this. Let's make Clementine a lesbian. It seems forceful as the player to do this since we have no idea. We've only seen her as a younger kid.
I hope we're more than friends. And I want...
Just sleeping my way to the top. If we're going to sleep our way to the top, we should come off aggressive. This really does seem just incredibly manipulative when you think about how you've spent so many years playing this.
Oh shit.
That's romantic.
Playing her as a little girl.
Oh shit.
This isn't gonna go explicit though, which in a funny way, like for as gory and horrific as the Walking Dead series has been, even on the TV series, I don't think it ever would bother to.
Time for your lookout shift. Ready?
I don't think they'd ever try to have any sexual content. This certainly feels like an influence from like Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones went extremely explicit with the it's kind of strange none of them have binoculars or some kind of magnifier. Well, oh, they do have one. I think
Raiders.
Game of Thrones in particular
That guy. He's gonna be with them.
went too far in that direction, and
Yeah.
once it ran out of already pre-written
Your bad
storyline,
dreams. They're all about him, aren't they?
kind of failed.
Yeah.
But I think also
Can
the
I
Game
swear
of
yet?
Thrones series
I
has
think it's time I can. If you do.
No. Come on, kiddo. Quit asking.
Because I would swear about his stupid face.
Try thinking about something else.
Yeah, the
Count
only
the
reason
monsters
I'm
you see.
telling him not to swear is
Same
because I'm
number as
trying to
before.
get him to not
3.
cause conflict with other people. I wouldn't really
AJ,
care.
it's okay if Abel frightens you. You know how to control that.
There's 10 monsters out there. He doesn't frighten me. But when he comes here, I call dibs. I'm the one that kills him. Okay?
Okay.
Really?
Yes, I can't promise you how things are gonna go, but if it's possible, you get first shot at them.
Wow.
What, you thought I'd say no?
Yeah. I'm grown up now,
No, you aren't.
but I'm close.
Yeah, I'm still secretly
I see
raising
something.
him as
Not a walker?
a killer,
Here, you look too.
and using him as your secret weapon is a great plan. Alright, we see people, we see a horse. Like a horse drawing a cart. Are they zombie horses? Like, we don't really have a zoom in feature. So all I can really
That's
do.
not a walker. Good job, AJ. Come on, we have to tell the others.
I wonder if it's any safer with the zombies during the day versus nighttime. It probably is, just because you could see them better in the day.
They finally show up?
Yeah.
Stay safe, okay?
Sure took a long
We've
time
got
to
at
get
least
to
4
this
more
point.
people all carrying guns and carts, probably to carry people away.
Oh no. Assholes.
I can't believe they're really here.
So
If
did
they
the
get inside,
zombies
I'll keep them
just
focused on
not
me.
attack
That should give
horses?
Willie and Mitch time to set up the bomb.
I'll set it
I
under
would
those
have thought
carts.
they would.
It'll work. I promise.
If they manage to get in, we fall back.
To the admin building.
Exactly. Right into our traps.
They're in for a rude fucking
There's a
surprise.
decent
Those
thought
duffel
here
bags will
because
break
I've
down
picked
easy.
Violet's gonna
So,
die, so if I'd picked Luis
any
and
final
hit
words of
on
wisdom?
him, he may have died.
You've faced them and won, after all. Well, sort of.
Lewis, shut it.
Look out for each other.
No matter what happens, look out.
Fuck! Shit!
Well, that guy's pretty much dead.
No! Omar!
I got him.
AJ, hi!
He really played no role. Yep, Lily's still bad. And she would have probably been bad had we not shot at her.
My bow.
Go! Go. I'll be alright. Don't have much time. Go!
This team would have been better off had they been trained for guerrilla warfare. Man, that was a slow reaction. Why is it my bow instead of the bow? I don't know, but whatever. Like, they still don't seem like they have that many people. Now, my only fear is that inside this cart are kids already.
It's okay. Just try not to move or make noise.
The fuck is all this?
Focus.
just scarecrows.
Guess they took us seriously.
Spread out.
Yeah, 4 people does not really feel like a major raider group. There's a gun. They have more guns. That's certainly part of it.
Lily! Move and I'll shoot.
You won't get the chance.
So they've got a sniper
Where's
in
our
there.
new recruits?
They're not yours.
Search the yard. If Clementine moves, shoot her. We'll find them, Clementine, and then we'll take them. And you. And your little boy.
Take me. You want soldiers? Fine. Take me with you. But leave everyone else.
You'd do that? You'd come with me if I let the others go?
Yes.
You've changed.
I grew up.
I can see that. God, you are just like him. Lee would have been heartbroken knowing he taught you all the wrong things. That the sweet little girl he protected turned out like this.
This is...
You're
She
right,
is
Lily.
just kind of
I
like
am just
trying to
like
be
him.
the
If he
anti-Lee
saw me
in the
now,
story.
He'd be proud of who I am.
Why? Because you almost gave up just now? Handed yourself over to save your friends? Right. I'm sure that made all his sacrifices worth it.
Yeah, I think Lee would be proud.
Get out.
If you won't help me find the others, I'll find someone who will. We've recruited from this school before. Minnie wanted to come along tonight to tell you how well she's adjusted to her life, how happy she is. She said she had a girlfriend back here. Friends she missed. One guy who could always make her laugh no matter what. And her little brother. She missed him the most.
Shit.
Where are they?
Let me take you to them.
I can't. I just want them back. Please.
Let's see.
You'll be happier where they are. They miss you.
Shut up, Lily! You've always been a liar and a killer! You're not taking anyone else from me!
No.
So we're trying to like break up the group, although breaking up the group probably not the smartest move if you're gonna try and blow them all up. They do have more bows and arrows. Why didn't they show that earlier? Like, why am I getting surprised by how well prepared they are? Alright, so we're gonna kill her. Nope, we missed. Sweep down to be nearly shot. Seems like anyone who's a main character in this story is gonna be a problem. There goes
God damn it!
one guy. But did I fail? I thought he was Mitch. I don't even remember whose name is who. She stabs him in the
Kill who
head.
you have to. Take the rest.
Seems like Lily's in charge of this group. I would have been fairly surprised. But this is definitely not a video game in a real sense. You're not really having to aim. You just have to get the controller in a giant circle. It's like it's a real shame that that wasn't an actual sequence where you could actually just aim your bullets and your arrows and fire. Alright, so we get rid of 3 of them at best. This is just gonna recall as far as the practice of cutting the traps at the beginning of the game.
Kill that one, the girl.
The problem with these kinds of conflicts is that it takes a lot of like efforts to not just constantly escalate the violence. Either that or you just kill everybody. And yeah, that's the thing that's gonna stop the whole burn down the whole building.
The door! Lock it!
Your friend Lily ain't around this time, so we'll have a nice little chat. You and me. Alone. Fucking bitch!
Clem, I can't.
Stay back!
I grab the knife.
Where I see someone like you,
So now he's gonna aim for the hand.
small, afraid, and still alive. Well,
And
bet a lot of
apparently I'm
folks
gonna
died to
grab
get you
that lighthouse, which has never been foreshadowed. Like, smack him.
Dibs.
Okay. I didn't pull a trigger there. I guess the fight was not quite over yet. Or they just needed me to fall to my potential death. His leg is super broken. So we killed everybody except for her?
Shit. This should be easy.
I guess we should talk through this.
You won't kill me. I know you won't. Why? We were like family once. You won't hurt family.
Manipulator. There we go. Kick him in the face. Go ahead and kick him in the face again. Hey, there's the dog. Dog's been pretty useless up until this point. Oh, the girl's still alive, or the sniper guy. There's more people. The zombies are getting in. Who do we save now? Do we save Violet or Luis? Save Violet. Like, if we get a choice, we'll let Luis die since he's useless.
Fall back! Pull in and fall back!
I guess zombies just don't specifically go after horses, which I don't feel like that's the case in the TV series. I think they're retconning it. Okay. Now we've got flaming zombies. Alright, well, let's hold aim, and now we'll go ahead and shoot this, and I'm failing miserably. I suppose the question becomes, oh man, I was just so slow there that somebody snuck up behind me. I suppose the question comes down to, do you specifically want to take out the zombies, or can you find some other danger way of just Gotta aim a little bit ahead, but not that far ahead. Like, it feels like there should have been a bell somewhere you could have rung to get the zombies to go the other direction. And I'm not moving fast enough. Is there more zombies coming this way? Yes, there is. Man, you have to be just so careful with your aiming here. And you definitely can tell with controller support that there's a lack of success there as far as just tight auto snap shooting, where this really should be a game that just snaps to the target if you're anywhere close. So they kidnapped a couple of people, but we've got one of their guys, so we can now torture him, I think, and figure out where their camp is, and then we can go rescue them and many other kids, potentially.
Clem, I'm sorry for trusting her.
That definitely goes to show the difference between AJ and Tennessee, where they definitely are not. Mitch's bomb making ability not super useful.
God damn it, Lewis.
I know. We're going after them.
Honestly, they should go
I'd
after them.
smash down their walls myself, but we don't.
Well, we've got someone who does.
And now is the really creepy part where I let AJ just stick him, just give him the smallest of small knives and let AJ just stab him 1,000 times. Death by 1,000 cuts. Something really horrific. And that's where they're going to pretty much, I think, end this. Suffer the Children. I mean, it's a fine title. Clearly, they just decided the names of these titles before they actually told the story. And frankly, being slightly cryptic in the titles is fine. Like, there's no reason to really have spoilers. So, we can't refresh stats. We'll try, but the servers are down once again, so you left AJ feeling justified. AJ was soothed after sleeping in your bed. He was satisfied after he got dibs on killing Abel. So I've made him hardened and justified. And I think every time we leave AJ, and they are very specifically saying left, because clearly at the end of this, either Clementine leaves AJ at this facility or dies. But there might be a time skip where she's very old when she dies. But I also feel like his response will always be in white, because AJ's not going to die unless he dies at the very end of this story. Whereas other characters are going to potentially be in red if they're dead. You left Tennessee, or Tin, feeling ashamed. Tin was reassured when you said it was sweet of him to make drawings. And it's nice that we have characters like Lewis and Tin who represent the last bastions of art and music and just civil human discourse, but that stuff is long since dead in the zombie apocalypse, and they are mostly useless and need to be bred out. An age of enlightenment can happen after the zombie apocalypse happens, but at the moment somebody has to, so everybody has to just be able to survive until some form of governance can actually exist that's not so horrific that the people will uprise against it, and then the government can have, man, this is getting loud, then the government can take back the monopoly on violence that is at the core all the government is something that says we have the right to be violent and nobody else does. But until there's enough of a good leadership and enough of a good governance for that to happen, you're just going to always have raiding parties and scavengers and people fighting against people, particularly in the persistent threat of zombies. It is theoretical that there could be a zombie story out there where everybody unifies and there's just one giant government that all gets together and takes out the zombie threat, but that wouldn't be much of a story. Tin was hopeful after sharing his beautiful belief that the Walker Age will end someday. Arguably, it may never end, though. As long as humans are still alive, it may very well end when there's like no longer any humans at all. There is, I think, in the TV series, which again I really didn't watch, I think in the later seasons they started to say, yeah, the people who were originally turned into zombies many years ago are starting to decay and break down, and the only zombies that are left are the people that survived a little bit longer, which inherently that would be fewer and fewer people as people are getting better and better at killing a zombie. The assumption is at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, more than 50% of everyone died when they encountered their first zombie. Nowadays, any survivor can take out seemingly at least a good 5-10 of them without dying. We left Mitch dead, or we don't label it that way. People, I think, are just gonna die. Mitch was enraged when you said Marlon deserved to die, so he wasn't particularly someone who was very happy with me anyways, and Mitch was irritated when you decided to help Ruby bury the walker. So yeah, Mitch was a pretty good character to let die. Not that I think the story would have changed too much. There probably is a scenario here if I had been nicer to Ruby where Ruby would die. I don't know if that really matters that much. Let's see. You left James feeling trusted. James played very little role in the later half of this season, or this episode. James felt helpful when you let him feed AJ the apple. James was attentive when you said you're originally from Georgia. That's pretty much all we get. They've just established James here as a character, obviously, to use him in the next chapter. I wouldn't be surprised if this really is a case where whoever the writer for the third episode told the writer of the second episode to introduce a character named James. That way he can tell the story he wants to tell. This comes off very much like the comic book runs in Marvel and DC, where you have an overall editorial team that knows the general way the story is going to go, but then you also have independent contractors who write the stories issue to issue, and when you swap over from one writer from one series of issues to the next, they often just feel disconnected and often just different. Whereas you probably would want something better if you think about like a TV series like NCIS, for instance. That's the type of show that has pretty much the exact same story and the exact same feeling episode to episode, and it goes on for season after season after season with very little deviation, because they have a pattern they stick to, and they have probably not that many writers who jump ship or change. Abel has been captured. That's a new key phrase. That D looks like they just zoomed in on an R and cut off the bottom half of it. Abel was outraged when you told Violet to shoot Lily. Abel was startled when you told Lily to take you and leave the others. I don't feel like the story would have changed too much. In this case, it's kind of funny. Abel's not even animated correctly here. Let's just go back here again. Like, here we have James, and this is a scene from the show, and here we have Mitch and Lily, and that's a scene, and here you have Tennessee. And see, these all feel like these are scenes from the game that have just been over, they put a filter over, but then you get to Abel, and it's just all in blackness. This is not a finished product. No way was this what it was supposed to look like. And this is also where Telltale would have gone out of business, so this would have been a fairly terrible point to end the story. I don't know how you fix this much other than maybe you animate Clementine being killed. What you almost certainly would have done is when she pushed Abel out over the balcony and fell, that would have been the time when Clementine should have died, and then maybe you get a voiceover from AJ as a grown-up person, and AJ just then tells the remaining events and how the community grew bigger and stronger and survived, and that they reached a point where the walkers finally died out. You left Lily feeling unconvinced. Lily was nostalgic after recognizing you from her past. Lily was pleased when you accepted her help to stand. Yeah, so I was just manipulating her. Like, it would be insane to join up with Lily and say, oh yeah, everything that has occurred, everything Lee sacrificed for to keep Clementine alive was wrong, and I'm just going to turn into the exact opposite of what I've been, not only from season 1, but season 2, season 3. Every time we've seen Clementine, she has been, at least in the minds of the player, built on the foundation of that first season, and Lee taking care of her and teaching her things. So it would spit in the face of this entire series to say, no, actually, I want to play this game differently, and I do want to just be a complete and total jerk. I don't know if I'm almost certain the game would not let you be a complete and total jerk in previous seasons, to the point where you could come up to this level and find Lily is actually the nice person and Lee was the bad guy. Let's see, we left Ruby feeling grateful. Ruby was shocked when you said AJ was right to kill Marlon. Ruby was consoled when you expressed sympathy over finding the school nurse. But yeah. Okay, I guess we're going to get an ending for each character. I thought we'd get a group ending. I guess maybe they're trying to imply that their fates are unknown, that they're drawn out like this, but I don't feel like this is really the case. You allowed Lewis to be kidnapped. Lewis was comforted when you said you were sorry you and AJ hurt him. Lewis felt discouraged when you chose to spend time with Violet instead of him. Lewis felt discarded when you let the Raiders take him. Well, geez, if it swing the other way and it was Violet that had been kidnapped, which I'm fairly certain that would have been an option, you would have gotten that same third paragraph the same way. It would have just said Violet felt discarded when you let the Raiders take him. But yeah, everything's kind of just going towards my plans as I expected this was going to go. We may save Louise. You left Violet feeling vengeful. Violet was relieved when you and AJ returned to the school. Violet was exhilarated when you confessed your feelings to her. Yeah. We are kind of quickly getting down to a matriarchy at this point, because with Ruby and Violet, you've got maybe a scene. We haven't seen him. left as a older male. Tennessee and AJ would be more younger, so they could easily be controlled by three women, young ladies. So it's maybe a Sim and Mitch. Mitch might be a bit of a problem, but imagine not that much. Not Mitch. It's not Mitch that I'm thinking of. It's Willie. I keep thinking Willie is it. So Omar was kidnapped after Omar was shot. Omar played basically no role in the story. And the cross mix here is really, really bad now that they're faded out like that. I'm sure they thought that was going to work a lot better, but it doesn't. Rosie was loyal to you after you petted her in the courtyard. Willie was annoyed you didn't choose his trap and defend against the raiders. Both traps probably would have only killed one guy. And then a Sim was kidnapped. So yeah, it is straight up a matriarchy at this point. And there were only 3 collectibles in this episode instead of 6 at the first episode, which also makes an interesting argument that this episode was actually supposed to be twice as long or have twice as many collectibles. Yeah, this is definitely all women all the time in the group at the moment, but I imagine we will save some of the older males. Or at a certain level, you might even hit a point where AJ grows up enough that he takes control because Violet and Ruby just don't want it. Like, Ruby's not really going to be much of a leader, and if Violet gets eliminated, that would be fairly easy. But that would be like 10 years down the line for AJ. Even the dog, I suppose, named Rosie, is a female. Okay, well, let's hit continue, and then we'll end this recording. Updating content. So, it says we're signed into Telltale Games. That doesn't work. So the next episode is Broken Toys. That was Suffer the Children. And the first one was Done Running. And each one of these sections really is not showing us anything as far as a real hint. If we go back to the main menu, you have this loading section that doesn't seem to really mean anything. And then relationships and choices. You have to complete an episode, and that seems like that is just going to be straight up lock 2. So there definitely feels like there are elements of this game that just don't work now that the servers are done. Well, not a lot to say. That was a high action ending, but it was fully expected. No big surprise there. We didn't see James attack us instead. We also didn't see James try and help. Which may just mean we find him dead in the forest, which would make him kind of a pointless character, because I don't feel like there was ever an option in which we could have saved him then. So he's got to show up at some point. Otherwise, he was just a waste of animation. The raiders didn't drive a horde toward us. They had 5 people when they came to attack, when they should have probably had 10 or 20. They didn't seem like they were particularly well prepared at all. We got our first gate blown up, so our front gate is blown up, so we probably need to barricade that fairly quickly, or zombies are just going to constantly continue to enter through the front gate. But overall, the school seems mostly intact. It seemed like for a second that the whole school would burn down, and they're preparing, even though they did seem to be better prepared to use bows and arrows. They didn't actually shoot that many people with the bows and arrows, and they didn't prepare for fire. You would think it would probably be a great idea to have buckets of sand, or even if you can't find buckets, just piles of sand in every corner of every room, ready to go, so that you can throw sand/dirt on fire and put it out. Otherwise, we may start the next episode with the whole school burning down. Which I wouldn't be super surprised if this group does end up taking over the encampment that the raiders have, and it turning out to be a lot better than the school. But the school is not terrible. It might fall apart, however, if they started having a lot more people join their group. But there really isn't anything more to say. It was so obvious what was going to happen, and what happened is what I predicted. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.